Evening, everybody. Welcome back to the JACKOCAR Kia Series. It is round 12 of Season 1. It is the final round before we go to the finale next week. We're here in Mexico at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, and it should be an exciting evening of racing ahead. My name's Jake. I'm really excited to be back after missing last week, and I'm joined by Matt once again. Hello.
Hello, I hope everyone's having a good day, and thank you, Jake, for that introduction. That was amazing, and I tried pronouncing that track name earlier and completely got my words wrong, so that was well done by you there, actually.
I feel like you've already jinxed someone. I'm usually the one with the commentator curse, but basically Matt wants to commentate on Yuri's lap, and it's just literally come up at this second. Yuri's left the session. So
yeah.
Great start.
I was hoping you didn't see that. But, well, sorry, Yuri.
Yeah, you know who to blame.
Yeah.
Other than your internet provider.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not mine, which is always good. So who's out on track? Who's the first one out on track?
It is Dark Shadow will be the first one out there, and they're just rolling out the pit lane now. This is quite a unique track in many ways. Obviously, the one thing that's always pointed out in real life here is the effect of the altitude. We're obviously quite high up here in Mexico, and that does tend to have an effect on the air around the track, and therefore the slipstream that you get around here.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then when you're following other cars quite closely, and with the air being so thin, overheating can be an issue, which wasn't an issue for the JACKOCAR drivers against one hub, which of course JACKOCAR won. I thought I'd mention that again. But, yeah, JACKOCAR drivers tend to be a bit better in that aspect.
Jacko will send you bonus through the post, I'm sure, in the next few weeks.
Because that sticker. I want that sticker.
I feel pretty sure Dark Shadow's got a new livery. I could be completely wrong in that one, but I don't recognise that livery. Maybe I did it last week, because I obviously wasn't here last week. But let's have a look through the broadcast angle. It's quite a simple livery, but I do like the combination of the colours, the sort of neon green and the light blue.
I mean, I've got the brain of a goldfish. I cannot remember if you used that livery before when I commentated with yourself 2 weeks ago. But not the best start to allow who's gone to the pits. Okay.
Oh, well that's quite unique.
I think I know what happened. Sorry for interrupting. He went wide and it must have invalidated his next lap.
Oh yes. Yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah, because it was a very unusual line he took onto the straight, and it ran wide, and I mean, they probably wouldn't have gained any time from it, but the game obviously decided it did, and decided to invalidate that and the next lap. So that's it for Dark Shadow's qualifying, I'm afraid. That's their only attempt. Everyone gets one attempt in JACKOCAR qualifying, and that's Dark Shadow's gone. So we're now with Frenegamu, who is the next one about to start a lap, and they're just going through the stadium section now. Hopefully they don't go too wide around this final corner. There we go, that's nice to know. We are going to see a lap, which is good to see. I'll go on board now. Frenegamu. Now that livery I do definitely recognise, so they've not changed theirs at all. That's one I think they've had pretty much all season, aside from the week where everyone had to choose make a retro livery from a past F1 car, which was, I've got to say, a very fun week to commentate on.
Yeah, I love seeing that as well. And when I took part in the JACKOCAR Cup Series, that was actually one of my strongest races of the season, Par Monaco as well. So, yeah, the good old HRT 2010 livery. Love a good simple livery now and then. But, of course, purple in the first sector is Frenner.
Yep, through the middle part of the lap now. But very much the technical part of this track, it's very much single file, I think, through a lot of these corners in the middle part of the lap. There is a DRS zone, I believe, at the end of the flowing section of corners here, but out of the 3 DRS zones on this track, it's kind of the most useless because it's such a short run down to then the stadium section, which once again is very much a single file part of the track unless you're already alongside someone.
I really don't get that little DRS zone. Yeah, okay, I get it in qualifying, but in the race, it's... I don't know what the point of it is, really. I think in qualifying, they need to allow the drivers to use DRS wherever again, like they did in 2011, 2012. It's just been one of those things where it allows the driver to sort of have a bit more skill, a bit more risk when they want to use the rear DRS flap.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the more variables you can throw in there for the drivers, make it more challenging, the better. Frenegamu sets the benchmark of 65. Mackey's about to complete his lap. Is he going to be faster or slower? It's like he's going to be just slower. Yeah, 17.1, half a second down. I believe next up after that it is Jess. Indeed. And she's just gone around the first sector of a lap. Now that's definitely a different livery for her. I've not seen that one. I think she debuted it last week, but because I think I saw something on Twitter about it.
That's a bit, for some reason, I really like that livery for some reason. It's different. Is that one of the new liveries that came out in the latest F1 patch?
You'd have to. You're asking the wrong person there. I spend most of my time on this game is mainly for commentary, or the racing that I've decided to do now. But this is not a bad lap so far. Jess will be hoping that she can take provisional pole away from Frenegamu, but we'll see if that is the case. After that, we've got Jacko on a lap. But where's Jess going to slot into proceedings here? She's just going to be adrift of the top two, but it's pretty close at the moment. And JACKOCAR with his highlighter style car, as I like to.
It's a bit squirmy.
Oh, and that's way too squirmy, and that's really gonna ruin his lap. He wants to make sure that livery's not missed on track, but he'd probably been wishing that we'd have missed that moment there for him, because it's not his finest hour. Yeah, he could have done with doing that on his outlap, really. Let's see, though, has it cost him? I think it's going to cost him quite dear, actually. He's going to go to the back. Well, obviously ahead of Dark Shadow, but other than that, I think that's it. Is Mr. John ahead of Bill? No, it's Bill third. They're actually quite close together on track to say that it's obviously a qualifying where everyone goes out at different times. But Bill is the next car. And going through the middle sector now, and Yuri has rejoined, so hopefully you can follow Yuri's lap for us and see if he can hopefully redeem himself after already kind of jinxing him.
Hopefully. I mean, I was going to ride on board with Matt Newgarden, but I don't want to risk karming him as well. I don't want to karma the Speed Boys at all. But yeah, I'm on board with Mr. John towards the end of the lap. It's a very interesting livery. It's been a nice steady lap so far.
And Bill has gone quickest, but is that about to be taken away by Mr. John, I wonder? No, but Mr. John slots into second, a couple of attempts adrift. Now, all the Speed Boys, is Newgarden the next one on the road, or is it Dan's car? It's Dan's car. Yeah, it's Dan's car. Yeah, all the speed drivers have all got basically slight variations of effectively the same livery. And they've all got like their own personal colour, but effectively it's mostly the same livery. So you know, just to confuse us commentators a bit. But it's quite nice to see, to be fair. Oh, and that's my favourite livery. I always say this every time, but I just saw Bazza go out the pits behind Dan's car, and I love his takes on the old Renault liveries.
I still think it reminds me of the Williams when you're riding on board.
Yeah, the onboard doesn't match the exterior, sadly, in that regard. But
yeah,
Dan's car through the first part of the lap, and I mean, this is always a tough track. Some drivers quite like it, some drivers not so much. Are you a fan of this track?
Yes and no. In the dry, yeah, it's really nice when you get it right, but in the wet, it's treacherous. Honestly, you're trying to put the power down, and all of a sudden the rear just snaps, and that's it, game over. I'm hoping the race is wet in terms of entertainment factor, but when you're the driver, you want it to be dry.
We'll have to see in terms of what weather we've got for the race. Dan's car, I think, is about to comfortably go provisional pole. Yeah, it takes a whole second off what Bill managed. What's Newgarden up to on his lap? He's got the yellow sort of tint to his speed livery, which I like, because I'll admit yellow is probably my favourite colour, so I might be secretly rooting for Newgarden here, almost subconsciously. But he's about 3/10 adrift of what Dan's car managed through the middle part of the lap, so he's, at the moment at least, he's looking to probably slot into that big gap to first and second.
He looks really unsettled, actually. He doesn't look confident with the car at all, really, so I think he'll just be happy within the top 10 at the moment. And yeah, like you say, 3/10 adrift, and he maintains that 3/10 to go P2 for 115.4.
Has Bazza been listening to us about what we said about the onboard of a Williams? Because he's changed it. That's definitely not what it was.
Has it?
I think because it used to be a lot more blue for the onboard shot. So he's, I think he's done some adjustments to that.
I thought it looked different.
And I have to say, it's a pretty nice looking car. All things considered, obviously it's to sort of tribute the 08-09 Renault. Probably not a car that Renault particularly want to remember, in all honesty, because it really wasn't a good couple of years for them. But the livery itself wasn't too bad. Bazza clipping the curb a bit too much there for his liking. That will unsettle the car slightly. I don't think this is going to be a pole position time. What does it do for Bazza? It goes fourth, just behind Bill.
Yeah, it's like you say, you clout the curve there a bit then. You wouldn't have been able to get onto the power as early as you'd hoped.
It's Kyle Mazza now got the Williams on board look.
That's interesting.
I'm so confused. Kyle Mazza goes across the line. He now goes fourth, just ahead of... What's this car? I want to see what his car looks like from the... Okay, it does actually look like the Williams. I think that is intended to look like the Williams.
Okay, yeah, that does look like the Williams.
Fair play, fair play. Wace is on a lap, but for your purpose, I'm going to let you follow Yuri on his... Wait a minute, I think Yuri's just come out of the pits.
Yuri has just come out of the pits.
Yeah,
he's got red.
Yeah, it said it didn't say it was on an hour lap there, but I was thinking, you know, he just come out of the pits. So it's Wace who is next up. A driver who I pipped to a good result in one hub on Friday, and he's just invalidated. Oh no! So below there for Wace. And to be fair, it was one thing I noticed on Friday was that he got quite a few penalties for corner cutting. So yeah, clearly that seems to be a growing trend for Wace, one that you don't really want to have.
Yeah, he really needs to get out of that trait. He's got really good pace. He just needs to be a bit more consistent in terms of his track limits.
Well, I'm going to go on board with Yuri now anyway, who's starting his lap, and I'll let you take us for a lap on board because Niels, who was ahead of him, has already invalidated.
Alright, thank you very much. As you're going down this long straight into turn one, you're just waiting agonisingly to brake at the right point. Your temperature's in the brakes, losing temperature, bang, just after the 100-metre board, clip that apex perfectly. That's lovely done by Yuri, and you sort of have to sacrifice turn two to open up turn three, which he's done very nicely there as Yuri, flicking the DRS wide open, which is 10% wider in the 2020 cars compared to last year. But just after the 100-metre board once again into turn 4 into turn 5. Nicely does it. You feel like you're going so slow through his corners after going down that long straight. Staying in third gear, flicking up to fourth to minimise the wheel spin. Now turn 7s to 8. As he has unfortunately invalidated, and I have done the commentators on Yuri, but as you say, he almost loses the rear there. And I'll keep riding on board with him because he's still going to finish the lap off. So clipping the corners 12 now into the stadium section. Now, okay, this is a very slow, but just be careful with the rears because the rear tyres will be screaming after the amount of torture you put them through the middle sector. Now, where would have this put him? It would have been a 1:14.8. That would have been pole position for Yuri, but unfortunately, the track limits has just screwed him over a bit there.
Yeah, and I think Connor, who was behind Yuri, he's aborted his lap as well. So Vitinho is the next one up. Just looking at the chat, Dark Shadow confirmed it's a new livery, so my memory's not as bad as I thought it was. Frederick Gabu got me confused with Owen. I've been compared to worse, I suppose. Asked me if it's a new bike. It is a new bike, actually. Yeah, that might be why. I don't know. I've commentated with Owen before. And I don't think I've never heard his voice again. That sounds like mine, but okay. We're not secretly brothers. No, I can definitely confirm that.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Freddie Garou thinking that me and Owen might be secretly brothers.
No. I mean, if you were, you're the better one because you can't hear your PlayStation, so...
Yeah, they they prefer me in the family, they gave me the newer one.
Yeah.
Martinez in the final sector, then stadium section. So he's looking pretty competitive on this lap. I was looking at his second sector time, seemed pretty solid, all things considered. And Vitinho, I think, is about to take provisional pole here. It's a 14-3, yeah, that's a huge margin, 8/10 almost. And I believe, if I'm right in saying, is it Splinter up next? Or is it Jack G? I'm just going to double check. No, I was right
Jack
the first time.
is behind Splinter on track, yeah.
Yep, so it is Splinter. Oh no, it's fine. Like I said, I've gone off here against Owen, but yeah. No, it's easy way to remember. Warrior is my real last name, and obviously Owens isn't Warrior, so yeah, there you go. But if you do want to hear my secret twin brother, he'll be in the commentary box on Thursday, I believe. Splinter though, yeah, takes pole position away from Vitinho, 14-2, very close at the front. And I believe now we've just got Jack and then MK Born and Easty Mats to go. And Easty Mats, interestingly at least, is qualifying on the mediums.
Interesting. That sort of suggests that we're not going to have a wet start. And also, like I'm going to do a reference to the One Hope trackers, Jacko has obviously made a mistake in this lap to a 1:18.1. But the medium tyre is not a good tyre to start on, in my opinion. I was just falling down the grid massively starting on the medium, so I'll be interested to see how Estimat does that. Never mind, he's just cut the corner and I've just completely ruined them.
Well, he's on and out. He's on and out lap at the moment, so that's okay, I think.
Sorry, I've been a bit of a melon. Sorry.
Oh, but MK Bourne, that's not fine. He went way off the track there. He's managed to stop his lap being invalidated, but that will cost him at the very least about half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second there. So MK Bourne's lap definitely hasn't gone off without drama. Jack G went 5th, which, to be honest, I probably expected a little bit more than that. So then if he made a mistake on his lap as well, at the moment at least, it doesn't look like anyone else is really going to be able to get near Splinter and Vitinho's times.
I have to apologise there. I mistaken Jack G for Jacko for a minute there. I thought he qualified P13. So that's a bit of a rookie mistake. I've never done that before. As MK Bourne is invalidated.
That was such a scruffy lap from MK Bourne. I don't think he'll be happy with that at all. Really, it was all a bit all over the place, and in the end it's ended up with an invalidation. Easty Mats through the first sector on the medium tyres. I don't think, unless I've got it wrong, I'll check the middle sector time before I judge, but I didn't look like a particularly quick first sector time.
Well, I don't know if it's a graphics glitch, but he had a purple first sector. That was very risky cutting that corner.
Yeah,
that was 10.
Absolutely shocked if that didn't come up in red on the track map then.
Crikey, I mean, breaking into turn 12, if you turn too early here, you've got that nasty curve that's sticking up there, that can easily knock you off course. It's saying he's purple in the middle sector as well. This will be a real statement if he goes into the top 3 on the medium compound of tyre. Now, slowly egging the power on, tightest line towards straight. Where does this put him?
6th, I think, if I had to guess. Yep, 6th place for Easty Mats, and he was way off in the end, so I think those purple sector glitches are really irritating, because I don't think they were purple sectors ultimately. But there's your grid then. Splinter and Vitinho comfortably clear of everyone else on the front row. You got JACKOCAR in 3rd, Newgarden 4th, a couple of speed guys there in the 2nd row, Jack G in 5th, Easty Mats starting on mediums in 6th, I'm interested to see how that goes. Bill 7th, Cloud Mozza 8th, Bazza 9th, Mr. John 10th, Frenigamu 11th, Mackie 12th, Jess 13th, Jacko with the last driver to set a non-invalidated lap time 14th, and then you got Dark Shadow, MK Bourne, Weish, Yuri, Connor and Niels who all didn't manage to do a time there, suggesting that track limits in the race could also be something to keep an eye on.
I reckon that will be the race result will be resulted in penalties. As again, I keep mentioning the one hub race, but that literally was what defined. That's the reason why Jacko won that, because of penalties.
If you can keep it clean, avoid penalties, then you've got as much chance as anyone really. So it's speed and where you are on track might not decide this race. But I'm super interested to see what Easty Mats does, because that's a brave strategy call. He's had a very good season in the Kia series, and maybe just thinking, he's had a few wins, maybe just mix it up a bit and try a different strategy.
Yeah, make it a bit excited for us. And
of course, you've got to do 2 stops anyway, so it in terms of that, it probably doesn't really change your strategy all too much in the race. I don't like a lot of two-stop races that we've had, obviously, all the way throughout this season. You don't really expect to see much use out the hards.
Oh no, definitely not. Unless you're caught up in a turn 1 incident and just want to make it towards the end and then stick a set of soft tyres on towards the end. But the hard tyre around here is not really the tyre to go for.
Wow, and that's an interesting split. Like, usually you'd expect to see quite a few drivers starting on mediums outside the top 10, but other than Easty Mats, there's only Niels who's also starting on mediums, so softs are very much the preferred tyre here today.
Definitely, and the medium tyre just doesn't switch on in time. I'm going to be surprised if STMAT stays in P6 by the end of lap 1. I don't want to put any commentary curse on them, but in terms of experience, I'm just keeping a close eye on Niels and STMAT to see if they can do better, but I struggled.
And there's a predicted pit stop strategy. I think soft medium or soft medium soft is probably going to be the preferred strategy here. Maybe 2 stints of mediums if you're not too happy in terms of tyre wear, but yeah, the predicted strategy of having hards at the end, I don't think many people will be going down that road because they're just not quick enough.
Yeah, I hope the 2 speed drivers don't crash into each other. No, I'm doing the commentary curse again, but I really hope they don't. They put a lot of practice into this race, and I hope they do. I know I'm a team speed member, but
Vitinho just hit Splinter at the front. Yeah, I was about to say, I thought he had run into the back of him, and they've both been put on the grid. I was going to say there was a lot of gaps forming between the cars on the outlap, but I was a little bit clumsy there from the leading pair.
Yeah, they're going to be starting on stone cold tyres now. Now, hopefully, Dan and Newgarden are aware of this and take advantage of this. But I'm keeping an eye on Jazz as a spinner already, and the race has not even started. And we have a spinner. Who was that? Was that MK Bourne? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it of MK Bourne or Niels looking at the colour on the map? But all the cars should be lining up on the grid now. It's been one of the more eventful formation laps that I've seen in recent times, but the important thing is everyone's on the grid. But with that long run down to turn 1, are those cars on the front row really going to pay for having to start on colder tyres?
Let's wait and see.
Here we go then. That is the worst camera angle I've ever been given automatically. I didn't know I was looking at a completely different corner. Anyway, 5 lights. And when they go out, we are underway. Thankfully, the lights went out when the race started for a change. But it's a good start from the cars behind, really. It looks like Jack G's actually had an incredible start from 5th on the grid. And they're looking to go 3 wide down to the first corner. Maybe even 4 wide here. It's like Vitinho's got the inside line. He's going to take the lead. Splinter into 2nd. Jack making an astonishing start into 3rd. Looks like Newgarden's lost a few places off the start. But it's Jack G and now Dan's car as well as lost a place to Clive Moss. We've already got a virtual safety car, and why is that? What has happened?
What was that for? Was that Dark Shadow? Is it involved in an incident? Is there any front wing damage on his car? There is front wing damage on Waze's car, I believe. Is either black and green car.
Ah, yes, I'm just trying to see now. Yeah, I can see. Oh, yeah, there is damage on the right-hand side of that front wing. He'll probably need to pit with that one.
That was a quick VSC. We're under green flag
again.
Yeah,
we're back underway, and yeah, I have to say, I'm surprised in the end that essentially the top 2 have swapped around, but essentially they're still in 1st and 2nd in that regard. But really, the guy who lit it up off the start was Jack G. For a second, it looked like he was going to go from 5th to 1st.
I honestly thought he was going to end up in the lead of the race there, but he thought it was a long game there and played a bit cautious there. Of course, with damage, I believe it's on full sports simulation.
Simulation damage, yeah. So that's it. Probably wouldn't have taken much for Waze to get that damage, really.
No, but just look at the pace of the top 2 as we have the timing glitch again. As lo and behold, Waze has already got a penalty.
Yeah, and that was coming into the pits, which is a bit bizarre. MK Bourne and Frenegamu were also in, so they must have got some damage as well. And they're all pitting, I'm going to guess, onto medium tyres.
I saw that Jacko.
And Jacko in the pits as well. Jacko's way down back, and we've got a safety car. We're under safety car conditions now. This has been a crazy start. Yeah, Jacko's having a change of front wing, so he's not had a good time of it either, continuing on from qualifying.
They were already in the pit lane, so what was that safety car for? Is it for debris?
This is
Just make sure.
a bit of an odd one, really, and not too sure. Freddy Gabu pitted for softs, actually, which is quite interesting. So did Jacko. So a split strategy there. We're under safety car conditions, which, to be fair, is probably bad news for the top two, in a way, because they were already continuing on where they left off in qualifying, and they were pulling handsomely clear from the rest. It's clear at this stage, at least, they've got a real pace advantage over the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely. And now I think the 4 drivers are pitted already. They'll have to try and make a 20-second gap, because we were researching this before. The pit lane is 20 seconds, I believe. So
yeah, 20, exactly spot on 20 seconds, which is really nice. It's a nice round number to remember. And of course, I don't believe you're allowed to serve one of your pit stops under the safety car unless you've got really bad damage. So this isn't like a free pit stop opportunity for anyone. Connor is in the pits.
Did he have damage?
Is he having? He's having his way. Yeah, he's having his way.
Looks like he's had damage. I think if it's not, it's like amber.
Yeah.
Or more, over 50%. Of course, we don't have TAS in the Kia series. You do in JACKOCAR, so he will need evidence to prove that his front wing had enough damage. But on terms of our views, it looked like he did have enough damage to warrant a pit stop.
Thanks for the information, Frenegamu. He's come out with a reason as to why the safety car come out. Apparently, someone turned their car around in the pit entry.
That was Jacko.
Ah. So it might be Jacko that brought up a safety car then.
Right, that's definitely getting investigated. Rigged.
I'll say though, the 2 speed boys didn't have the best of starts. Started 3rd and 4th, down to 5th and 6th. Thought they could be big threats to the top 2 off the launch, just because of obviously the extra tyre heat that they would have had. But they're still in decent positions. One driver I think will be also very happy with their start though is Easty Mats, because he started 6th but he's only dropped to 7th. That's not bad going on those mediums.
Yeah, definitely not, but of course with the long straight on the start you could have a bad start, but with all the slipstream you pretty much gain that time back, because he had like 3 or 4 cars in front of him to get slipstream from, so he would have felt that.
Definitely, for sure. We've just got the 1 penalty thus far, and that's Wace. With a corner cutting penalty. It's we literally said it in qualifying. It is probably, if there is one big weakness in Wace, it probably is just struggling with track limits, and I do sympathise with him. It's something I've had to get used to in recent weeks, getting used to strict corner cutting. It's not something I've run before, so it is a learning curve. But if you can keep it clean in that regard, it can really have such a positive impact on your race come the end, especially if you get a late safety car that bunches everyone together.
Definitely. I'm just looking on the map. Why is Jacko so far behind? Why is he not caught up yet? Has he got a delta?
I think this is a comment to you, Matt. Khalifa's just said report it. I think that's in reference to Jacko.
Oh, I am saving that clip. I was going to mention earlier, I was on board and he was the other way round in the pit lane. I don't understand how he's managed that.
Jacko, you've been exposed.
Share button square, so click.
Right, the safety car should be in at the end of this lap if my maths is correct.
Which is from race control, yeah?
No, if it's going to come in, it's leaving it quite late. We're still waiting for Jacko to catch up, which is probably the reason we're having another lap. Come on, Jacko, hurry up. We want to get back to green flag conditions here. He's not catching the safety car up at all quickly. I just want to say that. Like, if anything, he's dropping back again. Has he got... What's happening back there with Jacko? There we go. He's caught up. There we go. Let's go. Let's go on board with Jacko. Let's shave him.
Shame.
Oh, wait a minute. What have we got going on there? Dark Shadows come in the pits. So, is there damage?
Has he run to the back of somebody?
Must have done, surely. Here we go, let's see, is there a front wing change? Yep, there is.
I've got to look on Race Director. Who's he had collision with? Because 9 times out of 10 when you have a collision with someone during the safety car, they both get penalties. But nothing's come up, so I hope he hasn't purposely got damage and then pitted. He'll have to hopefully save his clip and send footage to the steward, so that, because that's cheating really, as Jamie did in JACKOCAR. Sorry to swing you out again. Was it Hungary?
I don't know. My memory's so bad.
I remember these things.
Khalifa's saying gross livery. I'm guessing that's also to Jacko. Yeah, it's. I call it the highlight livery. I think it was something that Austin called it as well. It gets him noticed. I'll give him that, but it's definitely not a livery I would personally go with.
Yeah, may have to turn the brightness down on my screen actually.
Yeah. Every time Jacko's on the screen, just reduce the brightness, you know. Don't blind yourself.
This lap, though.
Yep, I was a lap out. And Vitinha will effectively become a safety car. He's not giving the safety car much room, but he's starting to back off now, and it's kind of all spaced out here, so when's Vitinha going to go? He's obviously, I think he's left a bit too early, but he can put the hammer down well. I say that, he's going straight to the pits.
Should you have stayed towards the right a bit more, though? Because technically you cut the corner, though. But I don't know.
I think he'll get away with it, but here we go then. We could potentially have a three-way fight for the lead here going down to turn 1. Splinter, Jack G and Cloud Moz are all super close.
Ooh.
But it remains as you were. It was close to contact, but got away with it. Indecisive and Jess are also in the pits, and it looks like Splinter's got away slightly there. Cloud Moz are still looking at a potential move, but can't quite make it stick. And there's a few spaces that are developed, but there's nothing too drastic there. Top 7 have built a little bit of a margin, and Bill has already got a penalty. That's not going to do him any favours whatsoever. And I'm loving this little overhead shot here of the cars as they go through this middle sector, which is, when you get it right, it's a beautiful sector to drive.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm just riding on board with Waze at the moment. His car is all over the place. He's really struggling. He's got MK Bond all over his gearbox right now. Then MK Bond get a good exit. He does not. He stays behind Waze. But stadium section, you can either gain a lot of time or lose time. You just have to try and find a balance through here.
I think this is one of the sectors where you've almost got to not overdrive it. It's very tempting sometimes to overdrive your car and gain time, but an MK Bond, literally as I was saying that, was so eager on the throttle and got it quite wrong. But he's going to still have a good run on Wace here, so Wace will have to go defensive. He gives... Is there a car whip on the inside? There is just about. Wace to fully cover the inside off, and that's going to allow MK Bond down the inside. And it takes the position of Wace is looking for a good exit to come back at him, but I don't think he's quite got the exit he was hoping for. So MK Ball makes that move stick, and I think we had a couple more drivers in the pits. Bill is coming for hard tyres, and Cloud Mozza's also coming in the pits. He's on another set of softs.
Whilst that was happening, Yuri overtook Niels on the straight, and Niels used too much of his overtake on that lap, derated towards the straight, which allowed Yuri to use a bit more of his battery and get in front of him there. So that was a lot more, I think, a lot more experience from Yuri than Niels in terms of deploying the battery. If you look behind Mr. John and Connor going side by side, and Connor nicely down the inside and goes up to P9. Mr. John down in P10, so soft tyres are looking a bit worn on the front left on Mr. John.
Yeah, I think there was a swap of position as well between Newgarden and Dan's car, so Newgarden now in front of Dan's car, and Dan's car having to look in his mirrors a little bit because he's got Easty Mats just behind him, and Mr. John's actually now gone into the pits for here, first of his 2 stops. I believe, no, Connor's already, I thought Connor would come into the pits again. No, so that's why we have a top 2 doing kind of what we did at the start and pulling away Newgarden up to 3rd. And I think I'm now going to keep an eye on MK Bourne, who I think is going to try and look for a move pretty soon on Freniger move for P10.
Waze has used a bit more of his battery compared to MK Bourne. He's on 20% to MK Bourne's 50%. So Way's using a lot more of it as it goes quite wide there. Again, it's probably going to give him a warning there, Way. So yeah, MK Born is harvesting a lot more of his batteries, so I'm predicting he's going to get past Frenner here on the straight.
Yeah, probably not this little DRS straight here though. It's not that effective, in all honesty. But if he can get a good run out the stadium section, he can definitely line it up during the main straight. Be interesting to see if any more drivers come into the pits at the end of this lap. None of the guys around Vitinho have been tempted to follow his strategy, so they clearly don't think he's done the right thing there.
Yuri trying to break the slipstream of Niels there. Got a really good exit there with Niels. Can Yuri maintain P7? The sheer speed, the DRS of Niels. There's just nothing Yuri can do unless he outbrakes him. Going side by side, but no, Niels has the better tyre lap. The medium is at a better stage. As Yuri is all over the place. Those soft
love
tyres,
that bit of oversteer. But the problem is, sideways motion is not forwards motion, and although it looks good, it's not what you want in an F1 car.
Definitely not, and those rear tyres will be screaming now through the middle sector now. I think it's time for Yuri to pit here. He's had a good start there. Niels and Yuri both have made 12 places, but Niels...
Oh, Frenegamoo's gone round! Frenegamoo's gone round. There was contact between him and MK Born. MK Born, I think 40 had the move done, but Frenegamoo was still looking up the inside. It was quite an unusual part of the track to be battling, I would say, but it's not worked out for Frenegamoo, and he went round.
His tyre's gone round again. His tyres are cooked.
Yeah, there's no grip on those tyres left anymore.
Please be careful.
Yeah, this is such a dangerous rejoin here, and I think he's been quite sensible. Yeah, he's done a decent job there. I think Jess would have been a bit worried there for a split second when she saw the car recovering like that, but in the end he did a pretty good job considering.
Mr. John goes down the inside of Jess.
Oh yeah,
the door wide open.
Yep. Jess choosing not to defend that one. We've also got a battle between Yuri and Connor developing as well. So Yuri lost one place, so he's just lost another place then to Connor. And you can't help feeling he could do with binning those soft tyres pretty soon. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, just looking at the soft runners now, the medium runners who were just starting, I think it was Niels and ST Mats, was it, who started on the medium tyres? They've started to sort of gain now on the soft runners as we have a yellow flag in sector 1 who's just gone round there. It is Dark Shadow.
Yeah, real problem there for Dark Shadow. I don't know if it was contact with another driver, but fallen to the back of the field. Frenegamoo has actually retired from the race, so that's our first retirement of the evening. Was having a good run there until that spin, and obviously once you have that spin, you've got to be so careful with throttle application because the tyres just will not have it. Oh, and Splinter's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's a big blow. He was in a very close battle with Vitinho, who probably will leapfrog him due to the undercut anyway, but now with that penalty added to it, that's really not good for Splinter. And let's see, is Vitinho in front or behind?
Vitinho's miles back.
Yeah, what's happened to Vitinho? I don't know if he's been caught in some battles or whatnot, but yeah, I did not expect that. Not only is the undercut not worked for Vitinho, he's miles back. He's literally about 7 seconds behind. So that's not worked out at all well for Vitinho, and I'm confused as to where he's lost the time.
Now that 5-second penalty for Splinter, he will have to serve in his net pit stop.
Yeah, of course, he's only done one of his 2 allocated pit stops, so that'll have to be served when he comes into the pits again. So I suppose at least, I think it's better, to serve it in the pits than it be added to your race time, because you don't want the distraction of a penalty hovering over you.
But in terms of stage points, Splinter was, I believe, in the lead for that stage point, so he's got an extra point there.
Frenegamoo quite disappointed in the end with that collision of MK Born. Feels like they weren't given any room, as Newgarden and Danskar both pit on the same lap. And Vitinho's out! What's happened to Vitinho? He's binned it. Oh, it's just coming into the stadium section.
Now, this is music to the ears of the speed boys. They are pitted during the VSC, and it's probably half the deficit into how long it will take them to pit. So this could be a saviour for the entire team speed. I think all three of them pitted actually during the VSC, so it's interesting to see where they end up now to 10th, 11th and 12th. But has he just dropped it under acceleration, Vitinho?
Looks like it. I wonder if he's looking at sort of the angle where the car went into the wall. Maybe he's gone onto the curb and it spat him into the wall opposite.
As I was saying, in qualifying, it's a nasty curb that really unsettles the rear, and the sounds of things, looking at the tyre marks, it looks like what happened there actually.
Oh, Newgarden's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. That's not good, and I think he must have knew that he was close to the delta, because he did lift off right at the last moment, and all it's done really for him, he's still got the penalty, but he's lost so much time.
What a melon.
To Mozza in front, and he's now got Dan's car right behind him, as Jacko is on the defensive against Cloud Mozza, going into the stadium section. Of course, the scene of where Vitinho had just put it into a wall, unfortunately. It's not going to do him any good. And just have a quick look as well to see what are the quick check of stage points. Well, ooh, yeah, that's a good point. So Vitinho wasn't secure in the top 4 that he needs to be in. So that DNF could prove to be costly if results don't go his way.
Yes, I think I don't know if I said it earlier, but I believe it was Splinter who was leading at the time. The stage point was given, was it? I think it was lap 9 was one of them.
Yeah, and that would have been Splinter, yeah, definitely. Vitinho opted to pit before that stage point, so yeah, he's not going to get anything from this race now. And looking at the drivers behind him who could potentially knock him out, you're looking at Connor and Jack G are the main ones now who Vitinho will not want to do well. And unfortunately for him, Jack G is currently winning, although he's obviously not pitted yet, and Connor's in 3rd and has used one of his pit stops.
It's interesting you mentioned that. I haven't actually looked to see who's pitted yet, which is, yeah, like I say, Niels and Ession, they started on the medium tyre. Is Jack still on the soft tyre? He is as well.
Yeah, that's a super long stint. Surely he's going to be in at the end of his side. No, he starts another lap. This is a really good stint on the soft tyres. Surprised how much he's making them last, and I think with Yuri's penalty, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm going to guess maybe that Dan and Yuri are in a party together or something, because they obviously pitted at the same time, and now Yuri's got that penalty. I think he's sort of let Dan's car go.
Yeah, they are in a party together. The entire team speed, they're always in a party together. They're always working as a team.
Oh, 3 wide here going to turn 1, and Dan's car was initially just a spectator in the battle in front of him, has now gone and overtaken a pair of them. So Dan's car at 2 positions in one go, and to add to Jacko's words, he's lost 2 places in one go.
Overtake of the season there by Dan. Totally not speed bias.
It was super. I wasn't expecting it for sure. It looked for all the world like Dan's car wasn't going to be able to really get involved in it, and I sort of didn't recognise that he was going to be there. But yeah, he found the inside line and made it stick beautifully, and that was an important move for Dan's car, because it's got him away from some traffic, and he's now got some good clear air to run into.
Yuri has just made Jacko outbrake himself and just sent into the cleaners.
This is not good for Jacko at all. I'm going to go on board with Jackie. He's still not pitting. This is incredible. He's been on these soft tyres since the start of the race. I know we had a safety car period and a few VSCs, but even so, this is a mega stint. And of course, he qualified in the top 10, so these are the tyres he qualified on.
Unbelievable. I'm trying to see which was the other stage lap. Is he trying to get the other stage point? I can't remember which lap it was. I can't find it in the commentary chat.
No, I don't. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, it's stage. Yeah, laps 9 and 18.
You can't get those soft tyres lap 18, surely not.
I think Easty Mats would surely catch him up by then as well, I'd imagine. He's already starting to eat into that deficit.
It's unbelievable. I can understand tyre wear is not really an issue here now, but I think he's really hoping for a virtual safety car. And I'm just looking at the speed now in the middle sector. Yeah, he's lost at least half a second in the middle sector. Those tyres have dropped off dramatically.
And you've got to think as well, I'm just thinking about this, because he's going to lose 20 seconds when he does pit. he was around where Dan and Clive Mozza were. Just look how far he's going to be behind them now. He needs to bin those soft tyres. He's staying out, but he's going to be defenceless against Easty Matt surely, and all the others behind him.
I'm just looking at the sky. It's gotten quite overcast. I don't know if it's just on my end, but is there actually rain? I wonder if that's why SD Matt and Neil started on the medium tyres.
Could be, and it could work out for them, but I just think Jack here is making a bit of a poor decision here, and of course he's still got a lot on the line here in regards to the playoffs. So this is a brave move, but I just don't think it's going to work. You can see how much he's struggling now. Easty Matt probably just needs to wait until a traction zone. He can probably just out traction him. He doesn't need to do anything too silly here, because Jack G at this rate is going to become a mobile chicane. Yeah,
I think Jack's just hoping now Connor battles with SD Matt and puts a bit of pressure off Jack here. And as I say that, SD Matt has gone a bit wide there and given a bit of breathing space to Jack. Now Connor is a lot closer to Matt's now here, but again, look at those tyres of Jack. They're just all the time. SD Matt's lost, it's just gained in the corner.
Yeah, and this part of the track is not where you're not going to enjoy the how old these tyres are. Is that some rain I just saw? Am I seeing things? I might be seeing things.
It is raining.
Oh, it is raining. So Jack's got his wish, but he's pitting now. But he can't. What's he going to do now? Because he's kind of.
Surely not.
He can't go on intermediates. It's way too early for that. But if he goes into dries, it's also kind of a bit of a. One thing I am thinking though, because of course, he is going into intermediates.
Wait, that's too early. Surely not.
Well, I was about to say, if he goes onto dries now for a few more laps, and then he could then go onto inters, and he'll have done his 2 stops. But
there's contact at turn 1 and K-Born and Dan's car. 3 into 1 just does not go, and that is unfortunate there for Dan's car and MK Born. I think, what was the other car involved? It might have been Waze. It just looked like a car in front just turned in and left no room for MK Born and Dan's car. So I reckon we'll be seeing that in the race steward's room. I only got that last minute, so I didn't actually see all of it, unfortunately.
Just thinking here, one driver who's in a nice position at this point is Connor. He's got no penalties at the moment. He's done one of his 2 stops, and he can literally, when it's ready, just go on to inters to the end now, whereas Easty Mats and Niels will have to do 2 stops still.
God, you mentioned that actually. It was when Connor had front wing damage at the start as well. And I can see why Jack actually picked for the intermediates. The rain's come down quite quickly.
I reckon by the end of this next lap they'll be in for inters. They're not in yet, but it is the track conditions. You can already see they're losing some grip out there. And here comes Connor down the inside of Easty Mats for the lead of the race. Obviously DRS still in operation. It hasn't been disabled yet. That's usually the sign that it is ready to pit. They're side by side through turns 1 and 2. Is Connor going to get a move done? Fair play to them. They give each other just enough room. Connor has had a big moment. Yuri's into the pits for intermediates as well. So is MK Born. There's a lot of drivers now switching to inters. And I wonder if these dry runners are going to start struggling for grip as they go around this part of the lap. But it's Connor that takes the lead from Easty Mats. But I think the mission for these 3 guys might just be to struggle it back to the pits for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, and also what Connor has to think about as well is on track right battle really is with Splinter, as Niels and Estimat still have to make 2 pit stops.
I'm gonna go on board with Jack because he's just behind Newgarden, so this gives us a direct comparison of dry versus intermediate tyres. DRS disabled, so I think that's a crossover. We've got a yellow flag, that's Dark Shadow in the final sector. Newgarden's really struggling, and yep, here we go. This is where Jack G, we thought it was too early, but I tell you what, he might have gained out of this.
Yeah, I'd probably be wrong here, but I just hope he hasn't taken too much life out of his tyres.
Niels has snuck past Easty Mats through the stadium section. So much to keep an eye on here. They're all going to come streaming into the pits now. You've got to imagine, yep, Connor's in, and I'm going to stick with Jack G because I just want to find out where he's going to rejoin when everyone pits.
I just hope I reckon we might see a couple of speeding in the pit lanes here because we've been so wet. You know, there's just...
Oh, look at that Jacko completely off the road. And, well, that was the easiest move Jack G will ever make. And, yeah, there's no grip at all. You know, you never know when it rains on the F1 games what it's going to do, but it's just the grip has disappeared so quickly.
where's Jack now in terms of this? He's being jumped by the 3 drivers in front, so he did pit a bit too early, but I think his tyres were in puncture territory. But in getting those softs to lap, what, 17, 18?
Yeah.
Pretty incredible, if you ask me.
But it is a thing though now, of course. Easty Mats, Niels and Jack G still have to stop again. Whereas others behind don't. What's happening in Sector 2, I'm not too sure.
New Gardens.
Yeah, New Gardens just lost a place to Bill. But
out the pits though. It might have been Dark Shadow actually, because Dark Shadow was in Sector 2. It might have been him.
Yeah. So, but this is an interesting thing now. This has worked out beautifully for Connor, because he is now in the lead of this race ahead of 3 guys who need to stop again, and he doesn't have to stop again. If these Inters can go to the end, which I assume they can, he's in a really strong spot right now.
Mr. John's on the wet tyre, so I don't know if that was a mistake on his behalf. Unless it's a sign that it's going to get even wetter. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. Is that Dark Shadow again? Yeah, he's not had a good race, I must say.
I don't think they're enjoying the wet conditions. They've been struggling ever since the rain started falling. Just on board, just looking at ways at the moment. In terms of penalties quickly as well, as Dark Shadow gets a penalty.
He's off the track.
Is it Dark Shadow or is it somebody else?
No, it was Dark Shadow. He's just out the way, keeping out of people's way, and the game's just like, no. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Dark Shadow has retired. Yeah, that's not too surprising. Shame for him, really. Just race kind of disintegrated in the last sort of few laps, but nevertheless, we've got a lot of drivers with penalties. Wace has only got 6 seconds, which isn't too bad. And here goes Yuri down the inside of Splinter. This for P5, and it looks like he's gonna make the move stick. And who says you need DRS to overtake? Yuri certainly doesn't, and he's made a nice move out in Splinter, who I've got to be honest, isn't really as far up as I thought he was gonna be. No,
it's like I said, I was saying earlier in qualifying, the wet round here is literally a risk every corner. Just the rear end, you have to try and put the power on as early as possible, and you can just lose the rear with a quick click of the fingers, just like that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think Dark Shadow's AI has come back out onto the racetrack retired, so I hope that doesn't ruin anybody's race.
Yeah, it's so irritating it does that. But it's just one of the quirks of this game. But yeah, I wonder if it is going to get wetter, you know, because Mackey's followed Mr. John in switching to the full wet tyre.
I don't know. If I was on the intermediates, I would have stuck out, because I'm just thinking of what happened in around Belgium in the race I did. If you're in a bit of traffic, sure, go for the wet, but if you're in the lead, it's best staying out in the inters, especially if you've already done 2 stops. It's worth staying out.
Oh, and Wace is going for a super adventurous move on Splinter. Splinter's already lost a place to Mozza, and he's going to lose another one to Wace as well, as he sort of battles his way through. There was a bit of contact between them, but ultimately it was nothing more than that, and Splinter's lost 3 places in a space of 1.5 laps, so I mean, his setup may have been really quick in the dry, but it doesn't look like it's any good in the wet. As Yuri, why is Yuri? Yuri's off the road. Oh, Yuri's recovering. So I wonder why the yellow flag was out. Yuri's lost a few places that he just gained, of course, and he's now back behind. He's behind Dan's car. So and Dan's car's letting him through. So I think that's more sort of conversation going on there between the speed guys.
I don't think that was part of the plan.
Well, Dan's car's actually let him keep on through in the process, and Bazza's out. Bazza is out. I'm going to try and see.
Safety car.
Oh, that is a huge, yeah, not surprising. That's a huge crash coming into the Estes section. And
what this does, sorry to interrupt, Estimat, Niels, and Jack G are all under a bit of bother now, because there's only 14 laps to go and they are yet to make another pit stop, and the pits take around 20 seconds, and that is in the dry.
Yeah, and they can't pit under safety car conditions either, so this is a massive blow for these guys, Easty Mats, Niels and Jack, and that for me would suggest Connor's in a good position here. He's gonna, essentially the top 3 now is Connor, Mozza and Waze.
Must be music to the ears of Vitinho.
Yeah, this is what he needs. He doesn't want Connor to be winning, though. It depends, really. I'm going to have a quick look while the safety car's out, who else is sort of in that mix. It's good news for him in terms of Jack, but not so much with Connor.
Never disappoints as a wet race.
A changeable one as well.
Right.
Mr. John's in the pits. He got a penalty for speeding under a safety car. He's already made his 2 stops. Is he switching back to intermediates, I wonder? No, he's going on to another set of wets.
Why is he pitting during the safety car though? But...
He obviously wanted to get rid of his slightly used wets and put on some new wets, I guess. I'm not too sure.
Isn't that a 30-second time penalty though? Because he didn't have any damage, his front wing didn't get changed.
I think he should be okay because he's already made his mandatory 2 stops. I think he might be okay in that regard because that's his 3rd stop. I'll have to wait and see. Just having a look then, so who else potentially could. So the other drivers, Jamie and Wace. So Wace is in a good position. That's not good news for Vitinho. And where is Jamie? And Jamie Splinter, if I'm right in saying. So yeah, it's not too bad. I tell you what, I don't know exactly how the points and how they'll play out here, but I feel like Vitinho right now is going to be quite nervous watching this.
I'm just wondering how. I wonder if the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. But looking on the map, I think it's Mr. John is still coming through sector 2, so I reckon it'll be out for another lap.
I think I'm right in saying as well in a 50% race. I could be wrong, but I think there's 4 allocated VSCs or SCs. So I think, if I'm right in saying, I think now that we won't have another safety car, a virtual safety car, because we've had 2 safety cars and 2 VSCs.
I can't remember if it was 4 or 6, but 4 seems to make more sense.
Yeah, I think he might be 6 for a 100%. I'm not too sure. I always get confused because obviously I've commentated over some races at short tracks, and obviously at short tracks you have to run 100% distance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would make sense for 4 or 6 for me, and a 50% would seem a little bit excessive, but.
Yeah, I'm just looking in terms of penalties. Mozza, yeah, he's made 2 pit stops, but he has unfortunately got a drive-through penalty. I don't know if you've already mentioned that.
No, actually, no. I don't know where he got it. It must have been for speeding under the safety car, perhaps. That must be quite recent.
So it was Mr. John and Bill and Cloud Mozza who have a drive-through penalty.
That's not good. We'll have to serve that, of course, once the safety car comes in. And the safety car's not coming in yet. We've got another lap under safety car conditions, yep.
Which isn't ideal for the people who've done 1 stop, so I'd want the safety car in as soon as possible. It does look like the track's gotten a bit more wetty, you know, so maybe if they do pit and go for the wet tyres, they could, this is a big could, catch up towards the end on fresh wet tyres whilst everyone else is on warm intermediate. So it'd be interesting to see how the result ends. I mean, Connor's got no penalties. That could, like I said in qualifying, result in his race win by getting no penalties, but I'm really unsure. Jake, I tell you, I'm unsure.
It's what we want to be. We don't want to. It's always better the less you know. I think always makes sport exciting. Quick look at the chat as well while safety car's out, and yeah, Khalifa mentioning that's huge for the playoff standings. That must have been Vitinho's retirement. Absolutely. And one of the speed guys going through the whole range of emotions for saying yes, Dan, for 4 minutes later going no, Dan.
Who was that?
That's Speed Blue Fox.
Blue Fox. Oh, Callum. Damn it, Dad.
We should be back underway. Hopefully at the end of this lap. I think nearly everyone's caught up now. I've got the penalties up on the screen at the moment because everyone's on Inters, with the exception of the 2 guys at the back. So keep an eye on that one.
I am surprised with the lack of penalties. Touch wood. Watch everybody just get penalty now, but I thought there'd be more, considering it's wet as well.
Yeah, Wace has surprised me because he got a couple quite early on, but he's sort of calmed it down since then.
No, I've just jinxed him.
Well, you know, I've got to jinx somebody. It's my job.
Fair enough.
Connor and Jack G are going through as it stands, according to Khalifa. So, yeah, if you can do the maths for us, Khalifa, that'd be great, because I'm a bit lost when it comes to that. So, yeah, as it stands then, Vitinho wouldn't make the top 4.
As Dan gets a penalty.
Dan gets a penalty under safety car conditions, which is quite an odd one. And we've got Niels already pitting straight away. He wants to get that pit stop out of the way, and straight away on the restart, Easty Mats and Jack G right up behind Connor, and potentially looking at a move into turn 1. Not quite. Connor keeps the lead for now.
And I tell you what is interesting, sorry to interrupt, he's gone onto the wet tyres, has Niels, so that's
That is interesting, and we've got a lot of drivers in the pits. Bill, Yuri, MK Bourne. Yuri and MK Bourne have gone to another set of intermediates here, so there's different thinking going on down the pit lane. And it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. Personally, for me, if I was in this race right now, I would probably be sticking with the intermediates, but...
I'm just thinking of the spray before the safety car. There's considerably a lot more spray on track, a lot more water. So I'm going to keep an eye on Neil's pace to see how he fares to the intermediate runners.
Yeah, I'm sort of looking at set times. They're reasonably comparable, but he's losing a tiny bit of time to Mozza in front. We've got Yuri and Bill swapping positions further down the field. Yuri up to 13th now. And I'm just wondering if Easty Mats and Jack are going to pit at the end of this lap, because obviously they do have to get their other pit stop out the way. Obviously we saw Niels get it out the way straight away, but now Easty Mats and Jack are waiting it out a bit longer, so differing thoughts between those guys there.
Of course, with the safety car, everyone's recharged up their batteries now, so everyone's got a lot of overtake to use. So when you're in the wet, sorry, I'm throwing my words a bit here, but when you're in the wet, you don't really use as much overtake because you don't really want the rear wheels to spin.
And one driver who's just used his overtake to good use is Newgarden, as he moves down the inside of Jacko into turn 1 and takes over 7th place. And yes, hold the front page, as that is Jacko inside the top 10 at the moment.
How's he managed that after spinning into the pits?
I think that
I've said it.
There's a lot of drivers, I think, of really their races have been turned around with that whole safety car period. Mozza is the latest driver to pit again for wet tyres.
I wonder if it is time, but is there enough time in the race? But I must say, Connor has made 17 places up, no penalties, and in the lead of the race.
Yeah, really sensational drive from Connor thus far. And he's still under pressure now, though, with Easty Mats, who doesn't need to put him under pressure. Ooh, the little tap in the back of him there as well, for good measure. As they go around the stadium section, turns 14 and 15. Connor obviously isn't going to pit. What does Easty Mats do? He doesn't pit either, neither does Jack G. So Easty Mats determined to force Connor into a mistake, perhaps, even though Easty Mats has to make another pit stop. Hopefully he remembers that, because that is something that can happen in changeable conditions. You almost forget how many stops you've made. Oh, Connor looking for the move back on Easty Mats. He doesn't need to go for this. And that was a huge risk taken there. Thankfully he got away with it. Easty Mats takes the lead, but Connor nearly putting his nose in a place where it would have ended badly for him. He's not in a position where he needs to risk all that much, to be honest.
Waze will be looking at this and hoping, and unfortunately, I hope this doesn't happen to Connor, but Waze will be hoping something happens, because he is technically in a net P2 at the moment, as Dan has a 3-second time penalty. So Dan needs to get it within another 3 seconds of Waze to be within a chance of taking Waze's position.
Yeah, Waze just sitting there at the moment. Want to see what happens. Easty Mats obviously feels very, very comfortable in his wet conditions. He's already pulling out to lead over Connor, so he wanted to get a move on with it, try and stretch his lead. Obviously, with him having to make another stop, he doesn't want to be held up by traffic, so he's trying to get his foot down now to minimise the time lost when he has to pit.
Yeah, I'm just looking on board with Yuri behind Niels, and it looks like Yuri just has a lot more confidence on the intermediate tyre. Yeah, there's a lot more spray on the track, but Yuri just seems to have a bit more grip at the moment. It's sort of on the crossover phase at the moment, it looks like.
I won't mention that as soon as you said Yuri has more confidence, I saw a penalty for him flash up.
Yeah, I did see that as well. So.
You're on form today.
Absolutely. I just completely ruined Yuri's race. I was going to ride on board with him. Invalidates lap time.
Oh, what's really going on here? Oh my goodness me, Waste gets another penalty. It looked for a second they were going to go 3 wide through turn 17, the final corner. Yuri, Niels and Bill. That would have been brave stuff. They're still going for it now. It could be 3 wide into turn 1 instead. It's inside line for Niels, but Yuri's going to hang it out around the outside. Still other cars trying to fit their nose in there. Bill and MK Bourne. Yuri is at the front of that train in the end. But wow, some good driving there to not end up in a collision there.
And I'm hoping I don't jinx Jess, but speaking of good drives, Jess, no penalties, P9. She's kept a clean race. She's done 2 pit stops as well, I believe. So she's been in the middle of nowhere to race until suddenly being in P9.
Absolutely. The one thing that Jess tends to be very good at is avoiding picking up any penalties. Pace is something I'm sure she'll admit she's not the strongest at, but these sort of races are really where drivers like Jess can really maximise their potential and get some surprise results, and so far she's doing a good job. She's got Yuri just behind her. Knowing what Jess is like, I don't think she'll put up too much of a fight against Yuri.
I hope she does. Give us a bit of action, but oh, look at that. There's a lot of driving behind Jess right now.
Yeah, Yuri was so eager there to get a good run that he almost lost it. Jack G is right up behind Connor. Look at the gap Easty Mats is pulling out front. Absolutely charging away.
But Jack's going looking to go round the outside of Connor. Surely not. That's not allowed, Jack.
I'd say he's gonna have the inside line up for the next turn. This is so tight, and Jack couldn't get the power down in time. And Jack's off the road. No, Waste's off the road even. And he's rally crossed his way through, getting the place. Oh, and there's damage, and Waste has lost his front wing. And Waste was looking at going. We got another safety car. It must be 6. It must be 6. It can't be 4 then.
This has completely thrown out the window for Jack and SD Mats. Waze can pick for a fresh set of intermediates. SD Mats and Jack will have 2 laps of the race remaining to pit.
And even worse for Easty Mats, he just pulled out around a 7-8 second lead. And that's just all been for nothing.
This has saved Waze's race as well. So look at the gap behind Splinter. Has SD Mats retired?
He has. Easty Mats has retired from the race. I wonder if it's frustration. Jack G has as well. So the two drivers that hadn't made their second stops have obviously been quite annoyed, I think, by the fact the safety cars come out and have just decided that's it.
Brain, engage.
Well, he said Jack G was going through as it stands, Khalifa. I think you can scrap that now. So, well, this race has been utterly crazy. This race has been utterly crazy. And I tell you what, the other drivers, this helps as well. We're talking about Jess not having any penalties. Well, look at the 3 guys she's going to be behind. They've all got 9 seconds worth of penalties. Anyone without penalties now is going to really like this. And that includes Jacko, who is provisionally P5.
How has that happened then?
It's just rigged, isn't it?
He spins it into the pit lane, causes a virtual safety car. He's in the pits. That requires investigating. I'm sorry, but that shouldn't be allowed. Nah, it's good. It's a good drive from Jack, to be fair.
Yeah, he's got under the radar. Just seems to have taken advantage of all this chaos, and it has been chaos because it's just we've not known what's going to happen 1 second to the next. And wow, it's Connor in the lead, Danscar second, Splinter third, Newgarden fourth. You know, 3 speed guys in the top 6. And considering how it looked about 5-10 laps ago, that's pretty good going for them.
Same can't be said about Yuri's 9-second time penalty.
No, The one good thing for him, I suppose, is that he can technically have an on-track battle with Waze and Bill, though, because both the cars behind him have also got 9 seconds.
I don't know if it's just because of our cameras we've got, but the track just looks so much wetter now.
Well, this is the other interesting thing, of course. Everyone on the full wets will now be caught up to everyone. So we'll see, I suppose, at the restart if the wet tyres are sort of working a lot better now. There's a lot still to be decided in this race, and I have to say, it's been one of the crazier JACKOCAR races I've commented on. And they say Newgarden to get the chase progression. Oh yeah, of course, I completely forgot to look at that. Thank you for reminding me. So chase, how is the chase looking? So yeah, Niels was in the spot. Where is, and obviously Niels is, well, Niels in 10th. Oh, this is, and has Niels got, he has got some penalties and he's on wet tyres. This is going to be super close between Niels and Newgarden for the chase progression. It all depends really just how comfortable Niels feels on those wet tyres when we get back going again. In terms of penalties, Niels has only got 3 seconds as well, so that's not too bad.
I'm really sorry and quiet. I'm just trying to gather what just happened in the space of 3 laps.
This JACKOCAR leaves us lost for words quite often, and this is definitely one of those times. We're talking about Jackie and Easty Matt so much, and now they're both out in the race.
Look how much water there is on track now. Surely this is full wet conditions now. Just the sheer amount of spray come from the safety car. But I said this before, and the Inters were still performing okay. There must be still temperature in the intermediate tyres.
Just to confirm as well that there is no more stops that need to be made. So yeah, everyone, there's no one out there needs to pit again. So this is kind of it to the end now. In terms of pit stops at least, unless of course you get damage. But yeah, it's Connor in the lead, Dan's car second, Splinter third. Connor's in a good spot at the moment, but he's potentially could come under some threat from a few guys behind him. And yeah, this is super difficult to call.
I think in terms of tyre life, yes, Yuri is probably in a better position, but same can't be said about his penalties. I'm just looking, everyone's got the same amount of tyre life, 12 laps. I mean, Waze has got the freshest set of intermediates, but he has 9 seconds worth of penalties. So yeah, it's literally a battle for the win here between the top 5, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Dan's car having 1 penalty as well. That could be quite costly come the end if none of the others around him pick up 1. But we're going to have 4 laps under green flag conditions, I hope. And you know, in these conditions, it's very possible if you're on 2 warnings, that you could quite easily pick up a penalty in these latter stages. It could cost you.
It's all or nothing.
It really is, and there's some big laps here to the playoffs. And big moments indeed. Connor is one of them, and he will be leading us away on this safety car restart. There'll be 4 to go in what's been an absolutely crazy Mexican Grand Prix, and I wouldn't discount anything happening at this point.
I'm glad I'm commentating and not on the track, believe me.
I'm not sure I'd still be on the track, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I'd probably have buried it into a wall by now. So, there's a reason I do this more often than I drive. Connor then leads the way on the restart. Looks like Splinter's kind of been left napping a little bit on the restart, it has to be said.
Ooh.
And Dan's car's got a pretty decent run on Connor. He's in firmly in overtake, but I'm sure Connor will be as well.
Slowly gaining, it's just not quite close enough. The slipstream just isn't that effective on this game. Looking further back down to big Yuri. I have a little nosy down the inside to Jacko, but is Jacko crack under pressure again? He's left the door open for Yuri to go around the inside, and the inside is fresher tyres, the fresher intermediates, and Yuri playing dividends there. He's up into P5 as now Waze looks to go and overtake Jacko, and yeah, Jacko, there's no point defending that. Waze is on the freshest set of intermediates.
And Niels is going to try and follow through on the full wet tyres. Niels is just behind. Bill has gone up the inside. Jacko has it was a bit of an odd line he took into the corner. I'm just watching Niels here, see what sort of grip he's got on the full wets. It doesn't look great, in all honesty. It doesn't look bad, but it's definitely no evidence that the wet tyres are any better than the inters.
I'm quite surprised by that, really. I would have thought the wet tyres would have been in their own game by now.
Intermediates doing the trick at the moment. Jess is, I think, just sort of giving the places up, but she'll be looking to gain them back through penalties at the end. Dan's car still right with Connor. These two have already built a bit of a gap over Splinter behind. And can Dan's car force an overtake for the lead? Of course, he's got that penalty, which could be critical. We've also got Waze right on the back of Yuri. Waze has certainly been involved in a lot of things tonight, so we'll see what happens here.
Does Yuri defend this? Yes, they have the same amount of time penalties, but Waze is on 5 laps fresher intermediates. I don't know if Yuri will be able to defend this unless he's a lot more braver on the brakes. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? It's going to be Yuri, but Waze tries to stick around. Yes, it's good. Oh, there's going to be contact there.
Oh, yeah. And it might have been, I wonder if a little bit may have chipped off the front wing. It would be lucky if it hasn't. Waze trying to keep his nose in there, but the door was always closing. Waze to the outside. He's used so much of his ERS here, so if he can't make the move stick, he's going to be a bit stuck in that regard. He's trying every which way to get past, and that includes picking up a 4th penalty. So yeah, some creative lines there, and the game decided the game did not agree with some of those lines, and Jacko continues to pull down the order, now down to 11th place. And I tell you what, there might just be a couple of signs that the wet tyres may be starting to work a little better.
Yes, it's too late though, it's too late. What damage limitation here for Niels though? Just have to keep an eye, there's 2 laps left to go. Dan's car has not let off the gearbox of Connor. They have a similar amount of ERS. Although Dan almost loses the rear end there, I'm just not going to ride on board with anyone because I keep almost losing it every time. I'm not going to ride on board with Dan now.
I'm sticking with Niels. Just see what sort of exit he gets out of the final corner on those wets. It's not bad, but it definitely, he couldn't really get that close to Bill, in all honesty.
It's MK Bourne almost loses the rear on the main straight, and that gives the position to Mozza on the wet tyre.
Or does it? Or does it? He's not giving this one up, his MK Bourne. He's got the outside line, wet versus inters. Who's going to come out on top? Oh, there's a bit of contact there. They just about managed to squeeze through, but the intermediate tired MK Bourne stays just ahead. And in fact, he's got a bit more traction on Mozza down the next straight, so maybe the wet tyre's giving that a little bit more traction. They're still going to go side by side. Fair play to the pair of them on this one, but it looks like MK Bourne, for at least for the time being, is going to keep hold of the place. There's no way through there for Mozza, and he does have to slot in behind, and in turn MK Bourne. Niels has got in front of Bill. I didn't quite catch that, but just in front, Niels has got in front of Bill.
Interestingly, Bill is on the intermediate tyres and Niels on the wet. It's like you say, the wet's starting to come into their own game now, but it's just too late as Waze has gone miles off.
That'll be another warning for sure. Hopefully he doesn't pick up a 5th penalty before the race is out. He's trying everything to get past Yuri, but it's not really working. Yuri's putting his car in all the right places. He's not really giving much of an opportunity to race right now, as we're about to start the final lap of the race with the 2 race leaders, Connor and Dan's car. Connor still leading the way, and what a drive from him, from not being able to set a lap time in qualifying to potentially winning this race. Would be quite a turnaround. Yuri is absolutely determined not to give way to any sort of slipstream.
He's using every bit of his ERS as well as Yuri.
So the problem is, so is Waze, and it's not doing enough for him. He thinks about a move, but in reality he's just not close enough. And he's got to watch out for Niels on the wet tyres, who is just finding more and more grip and Waze. And his eagerness to try and do something has picked up yet another penalty, and it's penalties that cost him on Friday in one hub, and it's penalties that I think are going to cost him again here tonight. It's definitely an Achilles heel for him as he goes completely off the road yet again.
Unbelievable. In terms of battle of the penalties, it's MK Bourne and Waze.
Yellow flag is set to 2. Bill and MK Bourne. MK Bourne's got significant damage. I think there was contact between him and Bill. Jacko nearly went into the back of MK Bourne as well, so Bill and MK Bourne have collided, and that's not going to be a fun car to drive. for the rest of this lap with all that damage. But let's go on board with Connor. He definitely deserves a bit of airtime. And you can see the Yuri and Waste battling further behind. But I want to give Connor some credit here. What on earth's going on behind Dan's car?
Oh no, there's contact under the stadium section.
And it's gone wrong. Connor wins. What is going on behind? Waste is off the road. He's got no front wing. Absolute carnage is unfolding here. I don't know what on earth's happened here. It's just front wings flying everywhere. Dan's car takes second. Splinter third. Niels fourth. Let's see where people move up to once they cross the line. Just trying to see. We'll see the classified results afterwards. See how much the likes of Jacko and Jess and a few others who didn't have penalties gained out of that at the end there. But it is Connor who wins a race, and throughout all the chaos, I have to say he did an excellent job.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt his moment of victory there, but there was absolute sheer madness going on there in the stadium section. They weren't even on the track for half Sector 3.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I thought we might have a quiet 10 seconds, but that was a bit too much to ask for in JACKOCAR. Waste and Yuri just absolutely going at it by the looks of it, and more drivers joining in. It's Connor who wins. I believe it would be... I'm going to see the classified results now. So Connor will definitely have qualified for the playoffs with that. Dan's car hangs on to second despite that penalty. Splinter in third. We've got Niels in fourth. Mozza fifth. Newgarden sixth. Mackie on the full wet tyres gets P7 in the end. That went completely under the radar. Mr. John in eighth. Jacko in ninth. And Jess completing the top 10 with penalties for the likes of Bill, Yuri, Wace and MK Bourne, throwing them outside the top 10 in what was a crazy race where we also had 60 DNFs. And I've run out of words, to be honest. It's just absolutely mental.
Tell you one thing, I reckon Yuri will be absolutely livid. Tell you the truth.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed. Sure, he had the fastest lap as well if he'd have stayed inside the top 10, but not to be, unfortunately. But some good drives in there. Niels from 19th to 4th. He of course started on mediums and made that work. So a couple of really outstanding sort of back of the grid to front of the pack drives in amongst that chaos. I think in terms of my nomination for driver of the day, because I know we have to try and give two different... Well, in fact, I'll let you, since we've got to give two different drivers, I'll let you pick first.
Well, it's probably going to be the same one as you. It's going to be Connor. Really, he's gained 17 positions from where he started. For
the purpose of being a bit different, I would have probably said Connor as well. I'll go with Niels. From 19th to 4th, started on mediums, actually ended up on full wets, and had some good pace towards the end. Another driver not to pick up any penalties, and although I would probably edge it to Connor, in my opinion, I'll give my nomination as Niels, just so we got two different people.
There's also another consideration to the one who's under the radar, was indecisive.
Yeah, I did think about Mackie, to be fair. I won't give him my nomination, but I think he deserves a shout out. Really good drive from him, and in amongst everything that went on to final lap, he took advantage and got up to 7th in the end, despite, I think, making 4 pit stops.
That sums the race up, honestly. Yeah. You made 4 pit stops and you still ended up finishing, what was it, P6?
P7.
P7.
Yeah, that's that. It really does. There's so many drivers. Not many drivers actually made 2 stops in the end. Most made 3 or 4, which just really does sum up that race. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. That was a lot of fun to commentate on. We'll be back next week for the finale at Bahrain. That should be really good. Be sure to tune in for that when we crown the JACKOCAR Kia Series champion. And yeah, just before I go, I'll say a massive thank you to Matt for joining me.
Well, I've enjoyed it. Thank you once again for having me join you on such a special night in JACKOCAR Series.
No problem at all. And we'll catch you next Tuesday for what, if this is anything to go by, will be a dramatic finale. But until then, goodbye.